All right, so we got to talk about the coronavirus. It's here. And if it's not where you're at right now, it's coming really, really soon. So I want to talk about two things in this video. One is just the general situation, and two, how it impacts us, people with CFS, fibro, and our recovery process. And I'll be relating my own experience with it. Uh, so the general situation is that I'm sure you're aware, the coronavirus, it's here. Started in China. They acted a little bit late, but when they did act, they really, really acted. They put some cities on lockdown, and the infection in China subsided, but unfortunately it escaped China, and now it's spread all over the world. And so it has grown exponentially, which means in practical terms that it seems to not be here and then suddenly it's here. That's just what's going to happen. It's going to sweep through the world. It's pretty much inevitable now. And I'll link an article down below that I would recommend you read if you're interested. But the basic summary, it's got a lot of graphs and stuff like that. It's like a lot of analysis about what's happening. But the bottom line is, in order to try to, what happens is when the infection comes and hits a region hard, like for example, we've seen in Italy, is a prime example right now in Europe. What happens is the healthcare system gets overwhelmed. There are just too many people coming in. Even though it's a relatively small percentage of people who get the infection that develop something serious, that they have to go to a hospital, but it's so contagious that it hits a lot of people at once, and it grows so fast that the healthcare system gets overwhelmed. So all these people who, if they weren't there all at once, could be treated. A lot of them don't get they can't be treated. And of course the healthcare staff, the doctors, the nurses, and everyone else who works in the healthcare field, they get overwhelmed. It's just impossible to deal with, and they have to make very difficult decisions as who's going to get the respirator and who's going to die. So in order to avoid that, what we can do, each one of us can do, is just stay home as much as possible. Try to not get infected as much as possible, so as to reduce the rate of transmission. So we're not going to stop it. That's very unlikely, but we can reduce the rate of transmission by taking measures. So that will then make sure that when the infected people do go to the hospitals who are in serious condition, there aren't as many of them. And in fact, it then becomes manageable if the numbers are right. So it all depends on the actions that are taken by us individuals, because the governments, they're not doing a very good job of managing this. They're late, and they're not really too concerned about us, I don't think, in general. They're worried about the economy and stuff like that. Anyway, let's not get political with it. Let me move on to part two, which is really the focus of this channel, is recovery from CFS, fibromyalgia. So when this thing started hitting, when it started appearing in the news, it was kind of distant, it was far. I wasn't paying too much attention to it, and then it started growing. And I was already having thoughts like, okay, so there's going to be a lot of messaging, fear messaging, you might argue whether it's appropriate or not, but the news is like that. They try to get your attention. That's just how they do their job, And so I knew already, just before I knew much of anything about the virus itself, I was already on the lookout for this kind of messaging, and to assess things more soberly rather than to, because here's the thing with us. We're on alert. Our threat detection system is on the lookout. Okay, where's the danger? Where's the danger? We're still in that hypervigilant state, and we've got to manage that. And with something like this coming along, this is coming through all of us. This is going to affect all of us one way or another. and it's like a big thing, so it could put you into a very fearful state of mind. Um, Once I realized the full extent of what was going to happen, because it became inevitable, I found myself, even though I knew personally I'm unlikely to really, even if I get infected, my body will deal with it. I'm young, I'm healthy. If you have CFS, fibromyalgia, that's really TMS. Um, so if you don't have any other conditions, you're not in the risk group. I don't think so. That's not my belief. So I can make the case for myself that, even if I do get it, okay, my body will handle it. Yeah, I'll have like a flu or something, or an extended flu. That's probably what's going to happen. Me personally, But of course, there's a bigger picture, and it's a big thing. So it just generates that fear, and of course, fear is a somewhat appropriate response to what's going on, but it's a question of proportion and to degree, and to, like, too much fear can just paralyze you, and rather than prepare you for action, so when the system is hyper vigilant, when the threat detection system is on high alert and has been kind of in that state for a long time, it starts responding out of proportion. So what I found myself having to do quite a bit is, when I get in those states, of just being fearful and just worried about this thing, uh, just putting things into proportion, understanding what's going on, just talking back to myself rationally. I am prepared. I have, I'm a little bit stocked up on like food and supplies, if need be. And the important thing is to just continuously talk to your brain, because your brain is sending signals. Oh my God, disaster. And indeed, there is something going on. It's not unfounded. But I think if you tune in, you can sense when, oh, this is too much. This is too much of a reaction. This is not a helpful reaction anymore. This is crossing over into that just territory of just pure fear, and that has to be managed. We sort of have to bring our brain back to reality in a way, just we have to continuously engage it in the conversation. We have to consciously, the conscious part of our mind has to calm and soothe the unconscious part of our mind constantly, just as when we go out and we increase our activity and we do things and we exercise and we engage in mental activity, and we progress the difficulty of all that, uh, our fear system gets triggered, and we have to soothe and calm ourselves and, manage our fear, and then continue the process when we're ready, and so on. Well, this is another fearful thing coming our way that's going to have an impact on that system, the threat detection system. Other things that impact the threat detection systems are threatening emotions. So we're very sensitized to just seeing threat in the world in general, and so we have to be aware of that, and we have to consciously engage ourselves in that conversation of, bringing back a bit of just rational discourse. Okay, here are the facts about what's going on. Here's what you can do to minimize your risk and minimize the impact on the people around you. And we've got to maintain that frame of mind. Don't watch too much news. You want to stay informed, of course, but don't get into like the sucked into coronavirus. If you have the tendency to do that, like some people I know. And just stay safe, take the necessary precautions, and I hope wherever you are, you're not too severely impacted by this. I know I have someone in Italy, so stay safe. But it's coming everywhere. Like in Russia, the situation right now is that the official statistics are like 34 cases and 0 deaths. I'm sure the actuals are higher, I'm sure there are hundreds or maybe thousands of cases by now for sure. But even if they're not here just right this moment, they're coming. They're coming very, very fast. So, uh, we're all going to be impacted by this. So everybody, stay focused, stay prepared, safe. Just do your best, and then to prepare and to deal with the situation the best you can. Whatever you have to do, and let the fear go after that. After that, it's not serving a function. And if it comes back, let it go again. If it comes back, let it go again. There's that excess fear, anxiety that we have to just put to the side and let go. All right, good luck, everybody. And we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this.